Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a model here and her name is Lynn. She decided to volunteer her hair for me. I want to take her lighter and show you guys tips and tricks on heavy foiling. How to really tackle a million foils when somebody has a lot of thickness but you still want baby lights and a lot of brightness but a lot of lived in look that's natural, like it's growing out of her head. She also has great coverage, so I'm going to show you a little trick I like to do when I'm by myself without an assistant to tackle that as well and kill two birds with one stone. If you want to watch this video and you find anything interesting I just said, then keep watching. Also, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, join the family, become one of the OG Brett Ryan supporters, and yeah, let's get into it. Okay guys, so I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on heavy foiling today in this video. Nothing I really ever touched on in depth before. And I'm also going to go over some great coverage root smudge technique that can save some time when you're by yourself without an assistant. So tip number one, when doing a heavy foil, do not rush. Never, ever, ever rush. I know time is money and I know they teach that in school and harp on it. But if you have to use a lower developer and pull foils when finished, clients rather get a good result than an uneven result no matter how much time is needed. Do not rush. Take your time and make sure your work is thorough. When it comes to tip number two, that is going to be all about your lightener. You want to make sure you know your lightener, know how it works, play with different lighteners, find the best one for you, know how it swells, know how it doesn't swell, know the consistency that works best for you. Always measure, and always, 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 always never mix too much. I like to mix just one scoop, usually 30 to 40 grams of powder, and I usually do 1 to 2.5. It depends on the lightener, but for Schwarzkopf I do 1 part powder and 2.5 parts of the developer. Example, 30 grams would end up being 30 grams plus the 75 grams, which would bring us to 105. Tip number three, whether doing a regular stitch, a chunky stitch tie light, or a baby light, always take a small amount of hair. Let the subsection, the hair that's left in between each foil, dictate how much dimension you want left in. Never take too much hair, it will not process evenly. Remember, the smaller the better the lift, and the lower developer required, which allows for healthier hair.
It has always been about you, never been a table set for two. You never care a little bit, not much. So now I'm gonna make a fuss. Do you see me now? Oh, do you see me now? Do you see me now?
Tip number four, make sure you're using the right tools. That includes combs, color brushes, and foils. They have to be up to your standard. If I use a comb I don't like or the foil I don't like, the entire session has just gone to hell. So play around and find what works best for you. Lately I've been really loving the combs without the metal for baby lights. I bounced back and forth over the last few years, but a comb is very important to me. I like the metal one still, but I use that for the regular chunkier stitches or a regular traditional highlight. And I'm obviously using a metal here, and these videos were done prior to Nashville a couple of weeks ago, so I definitely have updated.
After all that we've been through,
And tip number 5 is perfect saturation is key. Too much saturation is terrible and too little is horrible. You need to find the perfect amount of saturation, enough to lift and penetrate, but not too much to swell and bleed out of the foil. It's very hard, but the more experience you get under your belt, the more easier you'll find what works for you. Some people I know that are great hairdressers will use a whole 5, 6, 7 bowls for a partial highlight, and it still comes out great. But then there's some who only do 1 bowl for a whole head of her hair, and that's crazy. But I found what works for me. It has to be right in the middle. As you see, it's saturated, it's covered, no hair is uncovered, but it's still not too much where it's pushing out of the foil or protruding out, causing any issues later on. Another tip that will definitely help you guys, I just noticed in this video, it's a horrible example, but it's a good example. Everything happens for a reason. But make sure that your foils are either pre-ripped, pulled out of the box, any way you like them. Make sure they're separated and in a pile, because it makes it so much easier. You can see I'm flying through here, but I'm having an issue and it's slowing me down because the foils were in the bottom of the box and I wasn't set up that day. But so I had to keep ripping them out, and believe it or not, that added about 30 minutes to the whole session, especially with somebody who has a lot of hair like this. So make sure you have your work ready. You have your tray set up, your clips, your combs, your foils, your lighteners ready at the mixing table with your developer, and you're ready to go, because that will drastically take time down a lot. And when you're doing this many foils, every single moment, every single second will add up. Another tip of mine, I know a lot of people are against it. I was for a very long time too, because I didn't want people to think I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning of my career, and that is a foiling board. I know there's many on the market. You got to find which one works best for you. I don't use it for the whole head. I do find I tend to use it a lot more when I'm doing a thicker stitch or a teasy light or something like that. Not so much with baby lights, but I will always use it right above the ear if I start in the back first, in the front section, because that area is tight between the foils right there when I'm doing the hairline, connecting it to the back. So I'll use a foil there. And I also like to use it at the bottom of the nape in the back when I first start for the first 5 to 6 foils. And then after that I have a sturdy base and I'm good to go. But do not be scared of trying a board. I have told everybody in many videos, but the Becky Miller boards are amazing. She has the extra long and the regular size one. You guys should definitely check them out. And tip number 8, my final main tip. You guys, be consistent. Do not rush. I find a lot of people when they're first starting to do a heavy foil, they will do a great job in the back or wherever they start, but then they start getting to the last little section and they start taking bigger sections without even realizing it. Then the front didn't process or the back didn't process as well as the front, or vice versa. That causes an issue, and then you're going to end up having to fix it with toning. I'm going to tell you right now, do good foil work. Make sure you're not flooding the root. Turn the brush vertical and feather it in at the root area, whatever you have to do. Even in school they say leave a ½ inch. I don't believe in that. If I have a good consistency and I vertically turn the brush and feather it, it always works out. But make sure you do good foil work. You don't want to rely on a root toner because it always will fade. Toner always fades. That mistake might show through. And you want to make sure you're giving good work because clients can tell, they feel the vibe, they see what's going on. And you want to really be known for your work and let the work speak for itself. Don't rely on a toner. Use a toner to enhance, never to fix.
never care a little bit, not much. So now I'm gonna make a fuss. Do you see me now? Oh, do you see me now? Do you see me now? Oh, do you see me now? Let me explain. I'm done with this, you will always be the same. Your apologize came a little too late. I'm leaving this behind cause I wanna stay the same. After all that we've been through, I always knew I'd be the one to care a little bit, way too much. So now I'm gonna make a fuss. It has always been about you, never been a table set for two. You never care a little bit, not much. So now I'm gonna make a fuss. Do you see me now? Oh, do you see me now? Do you see me now? Do you see me now? This is not the way we planned it. This is not what we dreamed of. But the thing is, oh, the thing is, I don't care anymore. Do you see me now? Oh, do you see me now? Do you see me now? Do you see me now?
So now she's all foiled up. I'm going to let her process for 55 minutes in Brett True fashion without any heat. Look at all those foils, guys. They're all the same size and very consistent. This is another tip I like to do when I'm by myself or do a full foil this thick and don't want to go through every single foil in between and do a paint between. This is a rarity. I don't ever do this very often, but I'm going to use permanent color for her gray coverage after I pull the foils, rinse her hair really good, shampoo it very well, and I'm going to use this and kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to do the gray coverage, and I'm also going to use this as my root shadow. So I'm going to do like I normally do with a root shadow, which is usually a demi. I'll go in, apply it all over, split her down the middle, comb it through with my Samvia comb. Olaplex number 2 is on the mids and ends while I'm doing this. It is crucial to make sure it's saturated enough. Permanent color is more opaque and that will grab quicker than a demi-permanent. You got to be very careful when you're doing this. And then once I'm done with this, we will let it process the full amount of time. I use 20 volume. I always add 15 minutes to the amount of developer. So 20 plus 15 is 35 minutes, and she covered well and great. I waited until about 20 minutes in, 25 minutes in the last 5 to 10 minutes, I applied her global toner, and then I let them sit together for the last 5 or 10 minutes, rinsed her out, conditioned her, blow dried her, and wait until you see these results. You're gonna love it.
You
Alright guys, I'm going to blend that root shadow in with this global toner. We used 7 different formulas, 7 different colors, and it came out gorgeous. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I'll be back this Thursday with another. As always, I'm back in the swing of things. I love you guys so very much. Definitely subscribe and stay tuned. Follow my Instagram. Big, huge announcement coming in the next several weeks, and I can't wait for you to hear it. As always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. So long for now.